Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of a run through. Today we're taking a look at Going Under. It's available on several platforms, but I'm playing the PC version or the Steam version. It's available for $20 at the moment, or $15.99 I believe if you played the demo of it. I think they're giving you like a loyalty discount, which I did do. I played about 3 hours or so of that, which was a really good demo overall. And then this is the full release title, so I wanted to sort of see what they'd added. And I'd initially thought that it was going to be somewhat of a thin prospect, but having now spent a lot of time with it, it's way more robust than I had thought, and they've also added quite a bit of stuff that was not in the beta, or the demo rather, that is here now. So I wanted to go over a lot of that stuff and kind of just show you what the game is. This video is going to be in the middle of a run that's already happened. I did that primarily because the game does a pretty substantial shift. I would say at either the halfway or the third way through the game. I'm not totally sure if there is another section after that, but effectively the game really ramps up at what I assume is the halfway point, and sort of tasks you with going through all the zones again, with harder enemies, harder difficulty, and they have more health. They have a lot of them have like armor, stuff like that. But I didn't want to show any of that stuff because it does change the game a bit, and it is sort of a spoiler-ish kind of deal. So I didn't really want to show you any of that. So I figured I would kind of show you here before all that stuff happens, which I'm glad I did this beforehand because I don't think I would be able to go back and actually show you it after the fact. But yeah. So anyway. Jumping in, this is a roguelike. They say Souls-like-ish is what it's billed as on the Steam page. I would say that that's fairly accurate. I would say it's not as difficult as that, at least in the initial stages. I believe there's 4 in total, and then you'll go through another 4. So I believe 8-ish, and then there's probably like a final boss, I would imagine, at the end of all this. The setup is that you are an intern at a somewhat failing soda company, surrounded in an office park by other somewhat failing app businesses. There's like a dating app, and then a Bitcoin app, and some other stuff that's going on there. But you're tasked with going into the basement to kill the goblins that are down there. And you realize that there's an overarching plot to all this, but I won't, again, it's a spoiler, so I won't really go into that. But yeah, the game itself is effectively, you have a section of mentors that you can pick, which is other people that work in the office, and they can kind of give you overall gameplay changes. Like one lady, she helps with apps, so you pick up apps in the dungeon that will give you different abilities, or it'll like show you the whole map, or it'll shock enemies or summon goblins to help you, stuff like that. The guy that I have mentored under is the dude that creates all of the flavors for the company, so that you find different sodas and stuff around there that have different properties. Like there's one that you'll hit that'll freeze everyone, one that you hit that'll burn everyone, one that'll heal you, which I think later on actually will heal enemies too if you're around them when you hit it. But they all have like some kind of AoE effect, and I found his to be the most useful. He'll also give you, so each of these mentors level up as you do quests for them, which quest was the thing that wasn't in the demo version of the game, but it's a big proponent of this one. So they each have 4 tiers of levels, it looks like, and maybe there may be a 5th one after that unlocks like another overall thing. I'm not totally sure. I've only got to the 3rd stage with any of them, but they'll give you grander things. So like I said, it'll change, like one's the apps, one's that. There's another guy that'll have cubes randomly show up in the dungeon. The CEO of the company, if you do him, he'll allow you to buy items from the shop that you can't afford. The caveat with that is it'll give you like a chain ball of debt that follows you around, that's attached to you, so it'll slow you down. You're sort of tiered to that thing, so dodging is a little harder, but you can use it as a weapon. But I found that most the risk reward of buying items and stuff wasn't as grandiose as having like continual pickups and stuff that happened. And I think those make a more fun and fluid gameplay thing, and a little bit more random just because you're not sure what you're going to get there. And I found it to be more enjoyable to do that. But I think that the way it's set up is really nice. And I think the mentoring thing offers a lot of replayability, because I imagine once I'm done with this, I'll try and go through the game again with like a different mentor and sort of see what that looks like. You also do quests for all of them at the same time, so they can all level individually. You don't have to like focus on one. It's just whichever one you pick. They also do a pretty interesting thing with the actual pickups in the game, like the skills, more or less. So there's a percentage of them, and I think it's based on how, from what I've gathered, it's like every 2 runs that you find the same one at, they'll level up, and then you can actually equip one of those to start the dungeon with, so you'll have it the whole time, which is nice, in addition to finding just random ones throughout the whole course of the map anyway. But I think that's kind of a neat addition. I sort of wish they would give you like maybe 2 instead of just the 1, because some kind of play well with each other, and it would be kind of nice to experiment there a little bit more than just having one at a time. But I also think those are pretty neat. Some of them are like, they allow you to use 2-handed weapons as a single-handed weapon, which is pretty big, because which is one I usually end up either starting with or going with, because the 2-handed weapons just do a lot more damage, and it makes them faster, and etc. There's another one that gives you, I think, increased health and damage. There's one that anytime you target an enemy, it has a chance to freeze them or burn them. There's one that the last enemy in the room has a chance to be your friend. There's like 75 or so skills, I think, in total. So there's quite a lot of stuff you can kind of build your run out with. There's also effectively every item in the game is a weapon as well. Like you see there, like the bar stool, or that middle campfire. Sometimes will have like a coffee pot or like a meat thing, so you can eat the meat and heal yourself, and then use the bone as a weapon. All the weapons break, so you're not really gearing up a specific weapon or gear or anything like that. It's all tied to skills and then what you can find in the game. So it makes you play a lot more resourcefully, I think, just by virtue of having to use whatever's around you. You can also, as you can see, that yoga ball that's bouncing around, you can hit certain objects into other creatures and do damage that way, which is fun to do. I think it happens more on accident than it does proper, but I also haven't like tried to play it that way either, so that, you know, there's that give or take there. But overall, yeah, I will say too, there's also there's a shop in every level, generally speaking, and you can buy, I usually there's like a health upgrade that gives you an extra heart, and then a filled in extra heart rather, which is good because there's ones that'll give you empty ones, but the filled in is obviously better overall. There's also a shield mechanic you can pick up later. There's certain enemies that drop, I think it's milk that will give you a shield, or strong bones or something to that effect, and you can use that as well. But yeah, it's fun. It's really fluid. It feels nice. The hit detection is really good. It feels really like there's a good weight to the combat. There's also this stuff here, like drones will come in once you've finished the last stage, or there's a few things in between that'll be like task specific to the company that you're going through, and they'll give you unlocks as well and some stuff like that. But yeah, I think overall I really enjoy it. I was like pretty excited about it before it came out, just because I got to play the demo, so I was like, you know, pretty amped already. But it's nice that they really fleshed out the package as a whole, and I think again, especially for $20, there's a lot of fun to find here. And there's a pretty good difficulty curve, I think, as well. I think even the early game can be pretty difficult until you get like the finer tuning of how the game operates. And also once you've beat the bosses, they'll give you a permanent health upgrade, and I believe there's something else that comes with it, but I know for sure there's a permanent health upgrade with it. So all of those are good and in service of making the runs a little bit easier, because they get pretty difficult. And yeah, just learning the mechanics and sort of how the game wants you to operate it. I will say there's a little bit of hiccuping sometimes with the dodge mechanic. It's a little weird to get used to, because it is like an invincibility frame, more or less. But you can roll out of that possibility, so you sort of have to time the rolls well, which I think is where the Souls-like idea comes in. But I found the boss design to be pretty interesting overall. I would say the bosses are somewhat easier generally than the actual runs themselves, or at least up until the halfway point they have been. I've only gotten to one of them again, and he was a little bit beefier and had a little bit of an attack change, but yeah, I think it's great. It's available now. If you like this kind of game, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. And I don't want to go too much else into it, because it'll kind of spoil some of the other stuff, but yeah, great first showing from the company too. Aggro Crab, I believe, is the developer, and it's, I think, their first game out of the gate. And it's really promising. I hope they add more stuff to it too, because I want to keep playing it even after I'm finished it with it. But we'll see what happens. You know, it's billed as a finished title, so who knows? But As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any games you'd like to see me play, feel free to leave that in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.